Hello guys! Welcome everyone, and for those who have been around for a while, back to yet again another episode of Mando Monday. This is the series where you guys ask the questions and I, of course, answer them. That could be anything to do with Counter-Strike 2, Valve, future upcoming updates such as CS2's first operation, anti-cheat, the background, or maybe myself. If you have a question and want a shot for it being answered in next week's video, leave it down below of this comment section or any other one of my videos. Today's video, we're going to discuss the reasoning for the retirement and the return of the series, that being Mando Monday, alongside a handful of great questions regarding the state of CS2, the first operation, alongside a bunch more. Today's video sponsor is Skins Monkey. Skins Monkey is a buying and trading marketplace where you can trade off your old skins for something new. All you do is log in with Steam, then you trade the skins you no longer want to pick up the new skins you want to obtain. Any remaining cash from trading goes to your balance that can be used in any future trade. By using my code Mando, you can get up to a free $5, and if you choose to deposit alongside using my code, you get a total of a 35% deposit bonus. With Skins Monkey's large variety of skins, they also offer daily, weekly, and monthly giveaways. If interested, it'll be the top of the link in the description below. Now this is Luke in the post edit. Yes, Mando Monday is finally back, but with the recent introduction of renting skins, I know you all have dozens of questions of how it works and what impact it will have on Counter-Strike's in-game economy. I have a video from yesterday breaking this down more in depth based upon Valve's brand new FAQ, but the fact of the matter is Valve will most likely never add the ability to rent old cases, just everything going forward after the Kilowatt case. If everyone rents the case instead of buying them to open, no new skins will flow into the market. Now take that as you will. If you guys have any questions based upon that scenario or the ability to now rent skins, leave it down below of this comment section or any other one of my videos, and we'll get to it for next week's Mando Monday. Firstly, for today's video, there's going to be timestamps down below for those who want to skip just directly to the questions and skip over the PSA. And speaking of the PSA, I quickly want to address where I've been for the last year and where Mando Monday went to begin with. Now, I've had quite some time to think about this, and there was no joke, I feel like over a dozen reasons why Mando Monday left and why I semi-retired the series. But for today's video and time purposes sake, I've narrowed it down to a couple. The first major reason is my enjoyment for skins was starting to fade. When CS2 was first announced, my first reaction was what brought me to why I love CS so much in the first place. And that, of course, mainly being the game and nothing else. The game comes first, at least in my eyes. Not to say skins are bad and I hate them, they're just not really as much of my thing as they once were. And this now leads us into reason 1.5 and not 2, but when CS2's limited test got announced, it felt like thousands of different investment and skin channels were scamming their audience, and really just started appearing out of the blue. You had random Discord servers from certain YouTubers that are now just nowhere to be found because there's no money to be made, that were having their audience pay to get into them to try and figure out the best investment that was pump and dumping items, which that never worked, just for an FYI. And it seemed like every Mando Monday I was correcting and trying to police the CS community, at least for my audience, which was also another start for my distaste of investing, but also skins. And for why I stopped investing videos, that could be a video for a different time, but that also makes me want to mention just don't take that out of context because it's not really what you probably think it is. And for the second reason is, well, what Mando Monday was turning into, which this may be complicated for returning viewers, especially for the new ones to understand. Essentially, Mando Monday started off and left as a Q&A series, but on top of that and debunking other misleading content, I found half or more of my videos that I was pumping out for Mando Monday was just turning into what my commentaries are today, what you see on a daily upload on my channel nowadays. Which is great, but I wanted to keep them separate, and I guess I didn't know at the time and how to balance the two since I was pretty new to pretty much all of this on YouTube. And with that being said, we're now going to head back to the original programming. If you guys want a more in-depth video segment or post on this, let me know down below. Heading into the questions, our first one up here is from Danish. How big do you think the dev team is for Valve's cash cow? Now, this is a question that's been on my mind, but I also feel like a lot of the communities over the last decade just being for Counter-Strike. Now, after asking a few people in the community and just getting some basic info off of Google, and from the knowledge I've been told over the last few years, the average size for the CS development team is anywhere from 20 to 40 people. And I guess I also got to mention how Valve works when making games. Valve is not the typical company like Activision, Blizzard, and the studios that makes games for those companies. Valve employees are allowed to work on what they want when they want with no timestamps or certain schedule. Now, if a certain game is about to go gold, like in Counter-Strike 2's instance, they're going to have devs from all over Valve to try and work on Counter-Strike. But now with Counter-Strike being out and majority of the big bug fixes anyway, where you fall through the map, that sort of thing being fixed, it's slowly gone back to where it once was all those years ago. And that's somewhat what scares me for the future of Counter-Strike. CS2, yes, was Source 2 for Counter-Strike. It was going to make skins look great, the game feel better, and just taking what CSGO did so well and just adding on top of it. But we're now almost a year into CS2's life cycle, and we haven't even gotten all the things that we had from CSGO, yet any new content, which is kind of concerning and might be for a video for a different time. But I think on average for Valve's cash cow, that being Counter-Strike as of right now, I think it's anywhere from 20 to 40, maybe 60 people. Now, our second question up here is from Ramby, and he says, do you think CS2 will do collaborations with other games? Like how in CSGO had the Battlefield 2042 sticker capsule and the Hades music kit, which games would you like to see personally repped inside CS2? Now, this is a great question, and I actually had to do some thinking on this, and I think for number one, the obvious answer is just other Valve games such as Portal, Dota 2, maybe even TF2 get stickers inside Counter-Strike. Maybe some of the background music and main tunes they had in those games, those could be implemented inside CS2 some way, one way or another. And as it goes for stickers, for an example, Valve can make some absolute slapper of stickers, bringing those from Portal. You could have a guy going in and out of a portal, for an example. That's a really cool lenticular sticker. That's just an idea. If someone wants to make it, great. I kind of just came up with that on the top of my head. And the same thing goes with Half-Life and all other Valve games as well. Since Valve owns the rights to those games, they can implement them inside CS2 with pretty much ease. And as it goes for a non-Valve game, this might be semi-controversial, but Valve has done work with Microsoft in the past. But I think two things. One, a Fallout sticker capsule would be extremely cool, as well as Minecraft, more so of just the memes. Now, for how well the Minecraft capsule would sell, I think it would actually do pretty well. Probably a lot better than the Battlefield sticker capsule did, since those stickers didn't really age so great. Let me know what you guys think down below of what stickers you want to see inside Counter-Strike and what kind of crossovers you'd like to see in the future. Now, our third question up here is from Rookie, an OG of the channel who's been watching for quite some time, so I'm glad to have you back, brother. Is it a good time to invest into something right now? If the answer is yes, what kind of item do you think is good? So really, I've been out of the investing game since CS2 first came out, but that doesn't mean I don't know what's going on. Now, the obvious you could say is cases, some stickers here and there, but for some more deep diving, I'm going to say agents and patches. Now, patches, as it goes for buying those in bulk, I don't know how well those are going to sell and if you're going to be able to sell them all at the same price at the exact same amount of time. The reason I say that is patches don't really have a huge demand, and I don't think they ever really will. Just because something is rare doesn't mean you can set whatever price you want for it and sell it whenever you want. Some patch quantities are so low you could buy up all of them on the market, but because it's Counter-Strike and people invest into everything nowadays and have for the past few years, you're going to have some guy that you don't know that has a private account and a storage unit full of 100 of whatever you have. Now, that's not guaranteed, that's just an idea of kind of what to expect. But as it stands for agents, I've recently had to purchase some for some B-roll for my videos that you see in the background, and I was just astonished at some of these prices on, well, the majority of these agents. I've been wanting to collect every single agent just to switch things up for some background video, and I was just amazed at some of these prices and what people are actually paying for these things right now. The female agents have really seen a rise, mainly because you can't have a default lady agent inside Counter-Strike, and even some of the cheaper ones as well that were once $2 and $3, some of those are well past $10. And just because they've risen so much up in price doesn't mean in the future they're not going to run into complications. For an example, it's not really if, it's more so when we're going to get an operation. When that happens, it's going to come with patches and most likely agents. If those agents are good, one, they're going to be heavily overinvested into just because of the success the previous ones had. But so many people are going to prioritize and buy the new ones over the old ones. And if we get as many, if not more agents than we had the past few operations in this new one that comes out, it might overshadow all of the old ones. But usually in Counter-Strike, as it stands for investing, old means gold, but not all the time. So for me, I would probably hop into agents, and remember the golden rule for investing: never invest what you can't afford to lose. Now, our next question up here is actually from myself. I know it's kind of weird, but I think it's pretty important to discuss this at least. A couple of days ago, when game testers for Valve's new game called DeadLock was, well, leaked on the internet, we started to see how the development started in 2018 for the game, and it's almost near completion and soon to be released probably at the end of this year, if not early next year. My question was, do you think Valve will prioritize DeadLock over Counter-Strike 2? And I say CS2, but really it's all Valve games. And the answer to this question is yes, I do think it has happened in the past, that being with CSGO going into CS2, but also right now. I think with DeadLock going gold and probably going to be released very soon, all hands are on deck for DeadLock, that being in Valve's dev team. And like we discussed in the very first question, there's normally only 20 to 40 actual devs working on Counter-Strike at a time. And if all hands are on deck or needed somewhere else, Valve is pretty stretched thin with the games they already have. So for me personally, this is a huge reason why we probably didn't see CS2 released any earlier than it was, and probably right now why we're not seeing any huge content updates prioritized over really anything else. Our second to last question up here is from WASD, and he says, what will happen to cases now that they're banned in China? Will they start playing global CS using a VPN, or will this shut down all case opening and case farms in China? So thank you for your question, brother. I'm actually going to correct you on the very first part where you say cases are banned in China, where at the moment they're not banned in China as a whole, they're just banned on Buff163, that being the biggest and buying and selling marketplace for all Chinese users and people using CSGO Perfect World, or now Counter-Strike 2. And there wasn't a very clear reason of why Buff did this, but if I, alongside some others in the community, had to assume, it's because China is going, and especially this year, heading in the direction of where they want to ban cases entirely, just all loot boxes and video games. So Buff doesn't want to be in the crossfire for where their website maybe gets shut down, temporarily gets put on hold, they lose profit and hurt their users. And for Chinese players in CSGO Perfect World using a VPN, I'm not 100% sure if that's going to work at that time. And from what I've been told and just seen on social media, Valve has already targeted and shut down major case opening and case farms in China already, not just in China, but all over the world. Now, a video that could be based off of this question alone is because it's not necessarily if, it's more so when China bans cases, what will that do for the CS economy? I don't think it's going to be as catastrophic as most players think, at least for the first few weeks. I think it'll be over the course of a 6-month period where we really start to see the case openings fall and the profit made on Valve's end, that being for Counter-Strike. When CS Perfect World released in China in 2018, the player numbers we had in North America and Europe weren't necessarily small, but the player numbers and economy started to grow at a very rapid rate. And I'd say that's a lot to do with China. As well as I don't know the specific stats, but this is just a personal gut feeling. I think China has a very big hand and role in the market. So if they just one day weren't able to buy and sell certain skins, especially open them mainly, that would definitely put a dent in a lot of the prices we see today, and which would eventually crash part of the market. That's a lot of what ifs. Let me know what you guys think down below. Our last question up for today's video was, what is the best idea for a new map? So I love this question mainly because, well, we need a new map inside Counter-Strike and not just CS2. I think a lot of people over the last year or so just have been craving for something new and not necessarily something recycled we've seen over the last few years. Like the recent reintroduction of Dust 2 into the map pool. It's great and all. Yes, we'd like to see Train, Cobblestone, and maybe Cash added back, but those aren't even in the game yet, nor play tested whatsoever by the community. So I think the best bet of getting a new map and when that will be is probably during CS2's first operation, which right now is just at a very unknown date. We're not really sure when or if that'll happen anytime soon. But you kind of answered the question in your own comments saying new map. That's exactly what we need. In my opinion, my dream map for Counter-Strike would be something that's not necessarily overly large, but has some verticality like Vertigo, but not too much to the point where it gets very annoying and you can hear someone's footsteps on A from B. And also isn't as large as a map like Cobblestone, where you spend half of a round just running around to each site. Now, let me know what you guys think about this specific idea down below, but how would you feel about an ultimate really small Counter-Strike map? What if we got the Nuketown or the Shipment from Call of Duty, but in Counter-Strike? Not those specific maps, but just an idea. And it doesn't necessarily have to be that small, but it could be one of, if not the smallest map inside Counter-Strike, because I think that would be pretty awesome, and it would also give for a very interesting take on how people would play competitive. With that all being said, that pretty much wraps up today's episode of Mando Monday, and the first one back in almost a year. Thank you guys so much for the support over the last year and for Mando Monday to come back in the first place. With that all being said, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Stay positive, stay sexy. I'm out, guys. Peace.